Hey there friends on YouTube, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech, so honest it hurts, and in this video, we're going to talk about the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and by extension, the other iPhones that have recently been released, and this is my official, not unofficial, official review. Today's video is brought to you by the folks at Soundcore with their new Liberty 4 noise-canceling headphones. We're going to go through some things. We're going to talk about some features. We're going to talk about the camera. We're going to talk about the battery life. And then I'm going to tell you what I think in terms of whether or not you should keep it or return it. I want to say first that for the past 3 years or so, I have been using the iPhone 12 Pro Max as my main iPhone. My main phone, really, because I do use other phones. I use Android phones and I review a bunch of different stuff, but I always go back to my iPhone as my home phone, if that makes any sense. And so I did review the 13 and 14 Pro Max. I did like them quite a bit. No problem with those phones whatsoever, although I am still a little salty about the eSIM only here in the US that we have to deal with because I change my SIM all the time. I'm going to have to figure out how to make that work because I wanted to test this phone and see, like, okay, we're 3 generations on from the 12 Pro Max. Has stuff changed enough to make it worth changing to this phone? And no spoilers, I'll let you know at the end, okay? So let's get into the build quality. Now, most people are familiar by this point. We've got a titanium build all the way around the rails and the frame inside. And then we've got frosted glass back. We've got Gorilla Glass, Victus, I don't know, some kind of special, whatever it is that Apple puts on the front of the screen. It feels smaller, but the screen size is the same, and overall, much more pleasurable to use. The titanium has also allowed it to be lighter, which I do appreciate, although I didn't really mind the weight of the previous models. The lightness of this is welcome. It is also more rounded. There's sort of a rounded edge here as opposed to the sharp that we had with the stainless steel before. I'm not exactly sure why. The bezels are thinner, but it also looks and feels smaller than the other models did. The other models were kind of monolithic, and this one is just a little bit smaller. In terms of features, there are several new features on this iPhone. More than I think people are giving them credit for. I think most people just see that it kind of looks the same, and then they claim there's nothing new. For one, we've got an action button here instead of a mute switch, which has always been on the iPhone, and I kind of liked it. I kind of like the callback to the old school switches as opposed to buttons, which almost every smartphone has a button and nobody's had a switch for a long time. I kind of liked the mute switch, but now with the action button, not only can we mute the phone by long pressing the action button, we can also have it trigger a focus mode. If you have that set up, you can have it trigger a shortcut. You can have it trigger a bunch of different things, and you set that up in settings. You just go down here to action button. And as you can see, focus mode, silent mode, you can open the camera with it, you can turn on the flashlight with it. That's kind of cool as well. And then, of course, a shortcuts, accessibility feature that you want to choose, and no action at all, which that's boring. So why would you want to do that? I've left it on silent, mostly because I just want to ease my way into it. But the one downside I would say we've got with the action button is that unlike other Android phones that have a similar button or had a similar button, you know, Samsung had its Bixby button, you can't make it do more than one thing. You can't double tap and bring up the camera like you can on Android, as well as long press and silent or turn on the flashlight or whatever. So that's a little bit of a missed opportunity for Apple. Maybe that comes later. I don't know. But I do like the action button and that it gives you choices as to what to do. If you wanted to silence the phone and you didn't want to dedicate the button to that, you could either use the volume button to turn everything all the way down, or you could set Siri to do it for you with just a voice command, any number of things. I think that there'll be more features added later. Let's talk about Soundcore for a second. The Soundcore Liberty 4 NC active noise canceling headphones. These offer you a super quiet journey on your train or plane or whatever is in Spain. The adaptive ANC 2.0 inside of these guys does real-time calculations to get you the best noise canceling that you can get in any situation. They've got custom-made 11mm high-sensitivity drivers inside that deliver high-res quality audio, including the LDAC codec. With these guys, you get 10 hours of playtime with the active noise cancellation on and 50 hours total with the battery that's inside of the case. There's also fast charging on board, so charging for 10 minutes gets you 4 hours of playback. Smart wearing detection, hearing protection, as well as Hear ID 2.0 that will customize the sound to your own hearing. And in the Soundcore app, there's Find My Earbuds, and they use Google Fast Pair for Android devices. Do check the link out down in the description below, and thanks to Soundcore for once again sponsoring a video. The other much ballyhooed change here is that Apple now has USB-C on the iPhone. Now, it's not the first time that they've used USB-C. They put USB-C on the iPad. They put USB-C on the MacBooks. They put USB-C on a lot of things. But this is the first time we've had USB-C in the iPhone. And I'm glad that that happened because I have so many other USB-C devices out there that now it's hard for me to find a lightning cable when I'm looking for them because I have so many other USB-C cables. I don't have to have two things plugged into a charger in order to charge my phone and my iPad or whatever. So USB-C is a good change. On the Pro models, the data port is also USB-C 3 speeds, which means I think that's 10 gigabits or megabits per second, gigabits, megabits. I don't know what it is. It's like 10, okay? It's fast. It's a nice change. It's not as fast as Thunderbolt. I mean, if this was Thunderbolt 4, that's 40 gigabits per second. And yeah, so we can hope that Santa Tim will bring us that next year, maybe. But I did test taking video in and out of this thing. Even with the iPhone 12, it was still pretty fast to take video shot on the iPhone out of the iPhone and putting it onto my MacBook with the cable. And now with the USB-C cable, it should be about twice as fast, which was already fast because of the way that the video works in the iPhone. Maybe I'll make a video soon where I explain how the iPhone compresses the video so you can, get it across AirDrop or use the cable to get it there more quickly than you would think because, yeah, they do use a compression algorithm that allows that to happen, which is very nice. Very nice indeed. Of course, every new Pro iPhone has a new chip. We have the A17 Pro processor in here. It's no longer Bionic, which they just make this stuff up. There was never anything Bionic about any chip. But maybe I'm only thinking of Bionic in terms of like the $6 million man from my childhood, but still, this is the A17 Pro. It's hard to really tell the difference in speeds and that kind of thing when you're just using a phone because you don't, even comparing it to another phone, they both have the same animations and the chips are both relatively fast. And the animations are what actually make it look the way it looks. It's not just the screen is going faster. There has been some talk about the A17 Pro and is it like running too hot and that kind of thing. I have had this iPhone since day one. There have been a couple of times where it's gotten hot, particularly right back here, which I'm pretty sure is where the system on the chip is. And that was up until probably this past Friday or so 3 or 4 days ago when I upgraded to the most recent iOS 17 beta. And since that time, I haven't had any overheating. I haven't had any of that. So I think they might have fixed it. There's some talk that Instagram or maybe some other apps are kind of not being happy with iOS 17 or the new chip or something. All this to say, it's not hot and it's not draining the battery now. It was a little bit before, not to the extent that it sounds like it was happening to some people, but this it's been great. And I'll get to battery life here in a second. But first, let me talk about the camera. I don't typically do a lot with the cameras. I take some pictures and I let you see, but I don't dig into the camera until I'm really using it for things like making videos, which I will do later on this week. Maybe I'll do a full-on camera review later, but I will say that there are some new features to the camera that make it pretty cool. New 5x zoom feature in here, so you've got optical zoom up to 5 times. It was 3 before, so you do like 0.5, 1, 0.523. Now it's 0.5125, I believe. Anyway, I have some pictures here that I'll show you, and you can tell me what you think. I did some selfies, I did some outside shots, I did some inside shots, and so let me know what you think about the camera down in the description below. And if you'd like me to do a camera video, then tell me that down in the description below as well, and I will do everything that I can to do that. In fact, I think I might also do a video about iOS 17 and some of the things that are different about that, but I don't want to overload this video with all that stuff. Let's move on to the final category. I make its own category because I feel like battery life is the most important feature on a smartphone in 2023. Maybe screen and battery life, 120 hertz, adaptive motion, pro motion, whatever they... I don't know. But the battery life is, I think, what people end up noticing the most. It's either good or it's bad. If it's good, they don't notice. If it's bad, they do notice. So, battery life on this thing has been, in a word, incredible. Other than those couple of times where it seems like there was some kind of software issue that has now been fixed. And I got my phone off the charger on Saturday. Every day I wake up about 7 o'clock. I looked at my phone on Saturday around 1 or 2 p.m. and I had 89% battery left at 1 o'clock in the afternoon after taking the phone off of the charger at 7. And now, of course, I wasn't playing games. I wasn't filming a ton of stuff. I was just using the phone as I would normally do in a regular day. And I feel like I'm probably a little bit of a heavier user than some people. And 89% battery after almost 12 hours off the charger. I had, up to that point, nearly 6 hours of screen on time. That to me it has to be the best that I've ever had. Has to be. And so, yes, there has been some overheating. Yes, there might be some software stuff that needed to be fixed. But as of that update, the battery life that I'm getting here, 10 or 11 hours of screen on time. I go to bed with this thing at like 40% at midnight. So 7 to midnight, and I still have 40%. If I had 6 hours of screen on time, by lunchtime, that's pretty significant. So the battery life in the Pro, I can't speak to the other iPhone models that are out there, but the battery life in the Pro Max model has been the best that I've had. And so now we come to the question, do I keep this and let my 12 Pro Max move on? Is there enough in this phone that makes me want to do that? Or do I return it and just keep rolling with the 12 Pro Max? I'm keeping it, and it's in part because of some of the things that I've listed here today, the titanium, the camera, the battery life, etc., etc. This happens for me sometimes. I pick up and unbox a lot of phones, and sometimes I pick them up and I unbox them, and I'm like, wow, that's really nice. Sometimes I pick them up and I unbox them, and I'm like, yeah, okay. When I got this out of the box, and I've got this natural titanium color, when I held it in my hand, whether it was the curves or the weight or whatever, it just felt really good. Not too big, not too small, not too heavy, not too light. It just felt exactly right. And then using it has been a very smooth and very pleasurable experience. Not just, just in a way where, the best that you would ever want your phone to be is to kind of feel like an extension of you, right? And so I feel like immediately I had that sort of extension with this phone. So a lot of people are going to say a lot of different things. You're going to hear a lot of different opinions all over the places you watch videos about this. I am typically a very negative person, I'm told often in the comments, but when it comes to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, this thing is the best iPhone they've ever made. And I'm going to stand by that. I'll jump up on anybody's coffee table and yell to the mountaintops that this is the best iPhone that I've ever had, and I've had just about every iPhone. So what do you think about that? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm sure we'll have a boisterous discussion. Once again, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification, share this video with friends and family. Do check out the Soundcore Liberty 4 NC headphones. Thanks again to Soundcore for sponsoring the video. Once again, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech. So honest it hurts. Until the next time, I am out.